Hello, everyone. Hey, Danielle.
Sheila.
So, I'm excited. Here we are again, together,
Yep. Dynamic duo.
to have a conversation about how to elevate in life, right? In our love, in our interactions, in our focus, and our energy. And this is a Shaping Solutions podcast, right? And I'm
Uh,
excited yet again for another opportunity to speak to the audience. I was just telling them, listen, I had 7 clients today, and it was
yeah.
interesting because I was thinking about like the podcast, and we're gonna show the topic in a minute, but I was thinking about the podcast, and I promise you, like in my sessions today, it was truly about what we're going to talk about today. But before we get to the topic, let's do our introductions.
Oh, we starting with me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm Danielle MacArthur of DCDR Solutions. We're a small business entrepreneurship coaching company. I use continuous improvement based techniques to help drive change and improvement and longevity in your business.
Mm-hmm. Go, Danielle. That means I'm always saying this. In other words, if you got a product and you want to get it out there, her
Yes.
background is in product development
Manufa-
and,
yep.
and making it
Manufacturing.
happen for you and
Yes.
manufacturing. So,
With
yeah, that's the person.
extensive training in root cause analysis and problem solving. So
Yes.
I
And
can,
so, and it doesn't matter, right? Like, I mean, I know
nope,
you focus on entrepreneurship, but it doesn't really matter the product, right?
no, my skill set, I could help a Fortune 500 company. I mean, that's what I was doing in my professional field. Doing $50,000 savings projects, $1 million savings projects. That's what I did. So why not be able to do that for businesses?
Right. And why not have her as my co host, right? Because we have products that we're going to come out with. And, with that efficiency mindset, how do we become more efficient in this process? And so I really loved our conversation that we had on Saturday about, the podcast and the direction and the goal. So I'm excited for you guys because you're going to have a great experience. And I'm Miss Sheila Little, PhD candidate in business psychology, relationship therapist. I've been a therapist for 20 years. Um, and I guess you'd say like business coach, right? So what I found out is, here's the thing. Our titles change so much as we go in business because you're trying to like figure out the niche and
Yep.
and how we do things and what that looks like. And so what I really found out is I'm more of a emotional management person, right? So,
Ooh.
we have this mindset, which I do work with people on their mindset, right? And then we
Hmm.
have the skill sets, which is your side, right? What skills do you need to develop to do that, right? But then there's this emotion that happens in us as we start to go after our goals. We start to feel something starts to come up in us: insecurities, limiting beliefs, fear, anxiety, distrust, right? And I think my gift kind of lies right in that, like helping you to manage the emotions that happens as you start to really go after your goals, right? And
Critical.
yeah, it's critical. And I think that we talk a lot about mindset, which is the mental health part, and we talk a lot about, skill set, which is the discipline. But I think one of the things we don't talk about is emotions, the emotional management, because we're a culture or people who just kind of learned how to take the emotions out of it, right? And how many
That
times have
was.
we heard that? Like, this is not emotional, right? Or don't give it your emotion. In
Yes.
relationships, we're talking about life. How often have we gotten our feelings hurt or got disappointed by a family member or really broken by something and was told to stuff it up? Like, we don't go cry about it. And I really do think that it's because, I don't know about you, Danielle, but when I was little, we got a lot of spankings, whoopings. And
Tried
I
to
don't
be
know what.
smart, and I paid attention to what my siblings were doing, and I avoided that because still caught some. No, I still caught
Well,
some.
I grew up with three brothers. Let me tell you. And growing up with three brothers, they was always in trouble, which meant I was always in trouble. But here's the crazy thing. We would get these whoopings and they would tell us to shut up. Like, don't cry. So it's like we getting whooped. And then it's like, and don't cry. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want me to cry when you just hit me with a switch or a stitching cord or a belt? Like, I'm not understanding the logic in that. But over years, don't cry about this, don't cry about that, don't show emotion about this. We have this container of emotions that's been stored that we don't have access to, that we don't have freedom to express, that we don't even know how to express, which brings us to our topic, right? And our topic is unlock your potential. Now, I could have said how to unlock your potential, but I'm like statement oriented. Like, girl, unlock your potential.
Do it.
Just do it. Unlock your potential. And I'm really excited about this topic because one, it's an acronym and I have my little things about it, but I
Acronym
really,
machine.
I really, let me tell you, I was bamboozled by potential at one time. Let me just tell you that.
Ooh.
Because I was a person that was told you got a lot of potential, girl,
Ooh.
and I would be like, thank you, thank you. Oh, you got so much potential. Thank you, right?
You.
Thank you,
Now
I
what?
appreciate. Right, and I'm really like thinking I'm doing it because I've got this potential. And then I don't know if I was in my science class, Bio 101, something, and I realized what potential was. Right. And so the definition of potential is having or showing the capacity or the capability to become
Yes.
or develop into something. Guess when? In the
Later.
future. Wait, in the future, right? So when people were saying you got so much potential, it wasn't what I was actually doing then. It was like, yeah, I see you, girl. Keep on doing that. Like you
Yeah.
ain't there
And
yet.
one day,
You ain't there yet, but you on
one
your
day,
way. Now, thank you for that, right? I appreciated that, but I didn't know. I didn't know that that's what that was. You know, if you're in a relationship with a guy, he's like, yeah, you got potential to be my
oh
girlfriend.
God, that's trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert.
And you like,
Don't go there,
oh,
babe.
that little word potential, which is a
Oh
big
shit.
word, though. And it's like, oh, okay. So before we go into our conversation, so that's what potential is like, this future place, like, this, you're harboring this energy and emotion or skill set or whatever that, let me read it one more time. Having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future, right? And we know that, Miss Danielle, a lot of us don't live to our potential,
Yes.
right? A lot of us don't grow to our potential. A lot of us don't access our potential, right? And as a consequence, we never end up becoming the person that we were created to be, right? And that's our conversation today. Not how to unlock your potential, right? Unlock your potential, right? And we're going to give you some tips and tools that you can use to unlock, yourself so you can get access to that potential that's not being used in your current life. And hopefully, as we're having this conversation, you can start thinking about where this stored energy is. Okay. So thank you for coming on Shaping Solutions. We want to center ourselves. Everybody just take a deep breath and focus this. Right. Get present in the body so we can start having this great conversation. So again, I told the story about you got all this potential, you got all this potential, you got all this potential. And at the same time, Danielle, there was this feeling in me where I wasn't living up to my potential, I guess, where I felt like I could be doing more. I should be doing more. I'm kind of like being a B student, and I know I could be the A, right? Playing small in my life,
Yeah.
And why is that? Like, why am I playing small, in my relationships? Why am I playing small in my business? Why am I playing small in my career and not really showing up? Have you ever had that feeling?
Yes, because I had my unlock moment a couple months ago. Was exactly that, where it's like my thing has always been playing off of, oh, you have so much potential. Mine was, oh, you're so smart. You're so smart. And it's like my mindset was, what do you want from me? When you're telling me this, but to realize it on my own and then realize I can do so much more, but I've been so comfortable. Because for me, it's like when you come from school, you think I'm not struggling, I'm good. But then when you really realize, like, yes, I'm good, I got this, I got that, yada, 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 but something else is missing, something else is calling, something is bigger than me, and realizing, okay, I need to leave this comfortable space and start to go into more uncomfortable but challenging in a good way. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Or
yes,
more healthy stress, because you're gonna get stressed. It's just more
exactly. Healthy, productive stress,
yeah,
not
productive
not the kind
stress.
that kills you.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the first thing. Like, so when we go to unlock our potential, or let's say get pulled to this calling or this greater life, right? Or just not being complacent no more. Just look,
Yeah.
I feel like, yep, my life is comfortable. And I think we all struggle with this. My life is comfortable. I'm doing well. I'm doing good. But I still don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right, there's still a desire to have more, be more, do more, and sometimes we'll equate that to money, right? And sometimes
That ain't
we'll
it.
equate that to purpose, right? Like, I
Mhm.
feel like I want to be more intentional with my life, or I want to make a greater impact in other people's life, or yep, I'm making six figures, but I'm not happy because I feel like it's not aligned in my gift and what I really want to be doing, right? And
Yep.
so when we go to unlock our potential, the first thing we need to do is which is understand, right? We need to have an understanding of, why am I going to unlock this thing? Why am I going to access this energy? Basically, what is my why?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you really have to understand your why, because if you don't understand your why, and a couple other things, something's going to happen when you make that shift. And we talk about this all the time. Your friend is your brain is your frenemy, and it don't want to be comfortable,
It wants to be comfortable as all get out.
right? And so your complacency, although it was bothering you emotionally, it wasn't doing nothing to your habits, right?
Oh, brain was good.
Yeah, like, it's like, oh no, we get up, we go to work, we come home, we cook food, we clean up, like, it's what we do, right? So when you go to make that shift to do something different, then you're going to be in direct conflict with your mind, with everything your mind knows and everything your mind has come to understand up to this point. And if you don't understand the first thing, your why am I making this change? You could, lose focus and go off
Yes,
course, right?
easily.
Right. Because remember, when you're unlocking your potential, you're actually unlocking an untapped place in you, which is a new place in you,
And it can be scary.
NEW, a new place in you that you knew existed, KNOW,
Mm-hmm.
in your previous life. Like you knew that you wasn't tapping into something, but when you go to tap into it, it's new to you, right? And this newness, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's new to me, but I knew it was always there. It can cause a conflict with your current situation
Yes, it can.
that can make you very uncomfortable and ask for every reason why you shouldn't be doing it. And so anchoring in your why is going to be very important, and understanding why am I doing this is going to be very important.
And I
And
wanna I wanna piggyback for 2 seconds because I don't know how deep you're gonna go.
okay.
So why? Because we played around with this in the Millionaire Morning Accountability Club. You gotta go deep because everybody loves a good surface why. Break generational curses. Oh, I want to do it for my kids. Go deeper. There's something deeper inside of you that is, this is why I need to do this. It's not for your family. It's not for your friends. It's something inside of you. You have to dig deep. If you don't dig deep, you're doing yourself a disservice. I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Oh no, thank you. Because I wasn't going to say that, but I was going to talk about the anchor. When you're climbing a cliff, you go up so high and then you anchor,
Mm-hmm.
yourself in. So if you happen to fall off or something, you're not going to fall all the way to the ground, right? You're going to kind of get caught. And to me, that's the purpose of a why, right? That's the
Yes,
purpose of understanding your why, because you're going to fall, you're going to feel, there's going to be some things that happen, but you're not going to fall back to your default too much because your why is anchored, you
love
know?
that.
And then when you lose motivation or lose inspiration, there's a safety in that, right? Like, I don't want to get up today, but why am I getting up, right? So your why can become your motivating factor, right? The thing that's inspiring you to do more and be more. And I think that it's very important to understand that when we put that why down, okay, I'm ready to unlock my potential. The second thing we need to understand is that it's a priming process for your brain. And I say primer because, when you go to repaint your house, right? I like blue. I like the color blue, you know. and But whenever I go to repaint my house, like there's a priming process, right? Where I have to
Mm-hmm.
go over it with this primer so that my old blue color don't bleed through to the new color. And because our brain is our frenemy and it wants you to stay in this old place, the first thing we need to do is prime our brain, right?
Right.
For this why that we desire, for this important shift. And remember, this one is based on the unlocked potential in you, this inner core person in you. And this priming process is really when we start talking about vision boards, writing a vision, making it plain. What does that look like for you? Really going through the details of what would life be like? What is it going to look like? How am I going to, how am I going to be financially? What is my love life going to look like? Like all of these areas, and really start making notes for yourself,
Yeah.
or really a vision board is a good primer, right? Because it's painting a picture of what life will be like, right? In this very specific in these very specific areas in their actual visions, right? And so it's very important, one, to understand your why and then to write the vision for that, right? for
I
that
love a
why.
good vision board.
Yes, yes. We know because you got well, we're gonna tell them next time, but
Yeah.
yeah, gonna hit them with it. And the reason why we want to understand and prime our brain is because, like I said, life happens. And as life starts to happen for us, if we don't understand our why and we haven't primed our brain for what's happening, we won't stay during the gestational period. So understand that everything you sow has a gestational period. And that's the third thing. That's it. Right? So this new life that you're going to accomplish or go for, it's going to take time to develop, just like it took you time to develop the life you have now. Okay.
Yeah.
So understand your why, prime your brain with some type of vision board, some type of new vision that's powerful. That's because your why is anchored. But what does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that taste like? Like really get your senses involved to help with that motivation. And then 3, understand that there's a gestational period for every seed that you sow. Right. And it took you a long time. And most of us don't get to this unlocking our potential, until we then created a whole nother life, you
Look,
know.
man, what?
Yeah, that we felt like was the life we wanted to live. And then we realized, wait, I got this untapped person that I have no access to. And how do I get there? And understand she will show up, you know, over time. And we'll go through some more of the letters to let you know when, but it's gonna take you time, right? And this is why you anchor with your why, you prime with your vision, and you give yourself time with your patience and your gestation. Okay. And then the next thing is our mighty N. The mighty N. Do you know what the N is? Did you get the email?
Yes, non-negotiables. I love that. That's my favorite thing ever.
So,
Non-negotiables.
non-negotiables. And this is important. And y'all, audience, y'all will hear me talk about non-negotiables all the time or your negotiation all the time. Because in the process of unlocking your potential, you remember when Danielle was talking about it's for you? Your why is like this deep, deep thing for you. It's also about trust, building trust back with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so having your non-negotiables is so important because they're really there, one, to help you build the trust and fidelity back in yourself. So um a non-negotiable for me when I started to transition my life is I didn't really care what people said about me. I was not going to negotiate another person's opinion about my life, right? Like, I don't really care what you think. And I got judged so harshly for taking this stance of thank you for your opinion, but it's your opinion and not mine, right? A non-negotiable was just to not take on other people's opinions in the process of me transforming my life. Because guess what? Those people opinions is what got me the life that I had and the life
Yeah.
I was running away from. Right.
Yeah.
So tell me
Oh,
one
let
of
me
your
tell you mine.
non-negotiables.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am no longer going to be around people that I have to validate my intelligence to.
Mm.
Spent so much time in corporate having to explain why I know the answer to something,
Mm.
having to coach and ease them into it. And I hit the point, I'm not doing that no more. If you don't understand me, I'm sorry. I can't work with you. Keep it moving.
Right.
Too
It's
easy.
it's just so important. And here's the thing, at one time a person asked us, Sheila, you're so selfish, right? You're just so selfish. And I was like, selfish? Like childish? That's like childlike
Yeah.
behavior. Or
Yeah.
like blackish? Like I'm sort of kind of like a child, or I'm sort of kind of like, a color, this ish
Mm-hmm.
thing on the end of self. And it's interesting because I'm like, no, I'm not selfish. I'm not kind of sort like how dare you be selfish, like sort of kind of trying to be you, right? No,
It's a
no.
double-edged sword.
I'm not being selfish. No, I'm actually being full of self, right? And it's
Okay, there's a difference.
it's the difference,
There's a,
right? And I'm on a
there's a
journey to figure out what full of self is. And I don't have to. Now, this is not a nasty, discompassionate, uncompassionate, incompassionate transformation. I don't want to make it like unlocking your potential. Potential is like no new friends, rigid and raw. It's just
no,
that
that's
you
not what
gotta
we
have.
do.
Yeah, it just like last week when we talk about shaping your life and becoming a leading person in your life, that non-negotiable just puts you at the lead. Like my voice matters, my opinion matters, and in this point, it matters over yours. And how many of us have struggled with other people's opinions of who we are mattering over our opinion of who we are? And when we make this decision, Danielle, to transition in our life or to take another a role another way, we have been programmed in our old life in our old way of thinking, in our old way of being, that everybody else's, opinions matter. And a
They
form of
don't.
respect is respecting and honoring and actually doing what other people say you should do. Right. Yeah. And it's like,
Okay.
no, I respect what you're saying. I just don't got to do. I heard you. I heard what you said. I just don't have to do what you said because one of my non-negotiables is that I'm not going to listen to your opinion over mine.
Oh, and that was another big one for me as a caretaker of my mother. And she moved into my house with my children. And I had to state it very clear. Okay, I hear your opinion about how I'm raising my kids, but I'm an adult and I have the freedom of, so I will still respect you, but I do not have to do what you want me to do. And it's been a constant recurring, but that was something I had to come into because that was another big one as a caretaker where it's like, okay, I hear you, but no, I'm not doing that.
And I think another way to say this is that we just need to learn how to create boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
Personal boundaries.
Personal
Emotional
boundaries
boundaries.
around this sacred space that you're creating. And the reason why we want to do that is because we know whenever we first plant a seed or go, it's at its most vulnerable point. When you get pregnant, right? You go through the first trimester, which is the most vulnerable point of your pregnancy sometimes, right? You're at the higher risk of losing babies. When you first plant a seed, like it's at the most vulnerable point, right? And so the reason why you want to know these non-negotiables when you start to unlock your potential is you want to create these boundaries, kind of like a hedge around this, so that it has the potential to live, to actually grow, to actually develop, to actually become. And you are responsible for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You are responsible for this life you're creating with this energy that you're pulling from this unlocked space. All right. So when we want to understand that when our brain is our friend, so we want to understand our why. We want to be able to understand that we need to prime our brain first. We want to understand understand. Yeah, then the third one, I'll get it in a minute. And then the N is our non-negotiables, which is really putting boundaries around our goals.
Way to think of it. You're the acronym queen. I'm the analogy queen.
Okay.
It's kind of like plants. Bring everything back to plants. You'll find out.
Oh, gestation
plant,
period.
Yeah. So mine is plants. So every plant has different areas where they can grow. They're all different. A cactus is not a flower. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. A cactus is not a tree. And so those non-negotiables, if I'm a cactus, I need to be in the desert. I need to be here. I need this much water. If I am a flower, I need this much water. It's a non-negotiable.
Yes.
If you add too much water to it, you will.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So in other words, what you're saying is if too much water is too many people's opinions, right? Then you're right. And the whole vision board thing is the negotiable because now I need the visions to kind of help nourish or water this plant. And that's what my vision is doing. Hey, and that's what my vision is doing. All right. Which gets us to L, right? So we talked about setting boundaries and saying that we're not willing to listen. But in this unlocking, you have to listen.
Yes.
And you really have to start listening, not to other people, right? Who do
Yourself
you think you
and
need to
here.
start listening to?
You gotta start listening to. Well, for me, it was myself and the universe. It was
Yeah.
it was the universe telling me what I had always been telling myself.
Yeah. And
That also happened to be the feedback of other people, but I was never listening to those people. But when I
mhm.
finally listened to myself, all the feedback, all of the things that people had been telling me, it like hit me like a spark of lightning. Boom, like.
Mhm.
But you have to listen. I had to have conversations with myself. It was
Yeah.
deep.
And it's interesting when we start talking about listening to this voice from within, right? And that voice from within is your voice or a voice from a higher power, or God, or whatever you want to call it, right? Whoever you choose to call it. But it's so important to listen to this voice within. So I got this story I want to tell about this one because I always said that God didn't talk to me. Right? Like God don't talk to me. God do not talk to me. Like I'm praying and I'm praying, but I do not hear from God, right? And I'm dating this guy one time, and I'm like, God don't talk to me. I just said it right out my mouth. And he was like, well, he don't. And I was like, no. Now, mind you, I had this idea too, right, of how God is supposed to
Yes.
talk to you. And I tell this story a lot, so people may laugh, but I don't know. I just thought God was going to open up the heavens and be like, Sheila, this is your God. I need you to do this great, big, grand thing.
And here's the list of action items that I need you to complete.
It was so like literally. And here's the thing, I know my audience can, I know our audience could definitely agree. Like I thought it was going to be like, and I was always like, oh, I don't know, really know if I want God to talk to me. Because if I hear this voice like that, like,
Then say
oh,
something I ain't ready for.
I might not even be able to do what you asked me to do, God, because I would be so in shock. Like, what is that? But at the time, that was my understanding, right? That God was this big, heavy voice and this rolling, thunderous cloud. Even when I was little, and there used to be thunder and lightning outside, and I would think like, the thunder would happen. I'm like, oh, he sure moving a couch. That must be a couch that he moved right there.
You
So
was one of them.
that must be a table. Like, oh, what was that he moved? Because my grandma would be like, God's doing his work. He doing his work.
Oh, okay.
It's like, that was my grandma worked. She clean up her house. I was like, oh, he must be moving a table. Or,
That is
he
too
must be doing this.
funny, man.
And so I had this very big idea that God's voice was this big, massive voice that I was going to be able to distinguish from my own, and it was going to come up loud and crack me like Sheila. And so when I'm having this conversation with this guy, I'm like, God, don't talk to me. And we just keep talking or whatever, and I don't think nothing of it. And I go sit on my tub and I go to run the water. And this very faint voice said, now why you tell him I don't talk to you?
Yeah.
And I was like, because you
Now I
don't.
got to show up.
I was like, because you don't. And it was like, well, what are you doing now? And I was like, what am I doing now? I'm like, well, you talking to me. But I didn't know this was your voice. And it was a very casual, very mild, very simple, small, still voice, you know. And I could discern that voice from my voice. And it didn't happen like this over emotional type of thing. It was just like, no, why you tell him I don't talk to you? And I'm like, because you don't. And my answer straight back, like it wasn't like who, what? It was like, because you don't. And it was like, well, what am I doing now? You talking to me,
You just gonna try to play me like that?
Right.
So
So
try to play me while you on the date? Okay.
yeah. So listen, in this unlocking our potential, understand that we got to listen to the voice within because we're untapping this energy, right? This unused energy that our gifts, our potential, right? This is energy that we're getting off is like really from the source. It's from our creator. It's from this space. And that when you go to unlock that, it's going to provide you with insight, awareness, what to do, what to be, because you're going in a direction that's more from a called place, right?
Yeah.
From an inner calling than an outward calling of what you should be doing and how you should be doing. And the way you created the life you have now is by what people told you to do. The way you're going to unlock your potential and create the life that you desire and deserve is going to be from what you want to do. And that voice within is going to guide you. Right? You like that?
I do. That was good. I like it.
Okay, so our next one. So we got the listen from within. We got the non-negotiables because we're going to create some boundaries. We got the understanding that, there's a gestational period. We got to prime our brain for it and we got to know our why, right? So we got to write the vision. The O, though, is so important. It's about being what, Danielle?
Open-minded. I love
Open-minded.
that.
Open-minded.
So many people struggle with that. I've always been a naturally open-minded person, and when you talk to other people, you can literally see the walls that they put up. And it's like, can we just take some of these Lego bricks out of here and expand this bad boy a little bit?
We talked about this in our first session, right? Mindset, right? Because open-minded is truly about going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right?
Yep.
From this fixed way of thinking to, I'm interested in doing things differently, right? And a lot of times when we come from very structured backgrounds, right? Very structured backgrounds, like you went to work, you worked a 9 to 5, you worked from 8 to 5, right? And because you work from 8 to 5, that's when you feel like you should work. Well, when you go on this journey of finding self, you may not get insight till 8 at night. You may not get it till 12
inside
at
at
night.
4 in the morning.
4 in the
4 in the morning,
morning.
maybe.
Yeah. And so you really have to be open-minded enough to learn your DNA, your iris, your fingerprint, like this thing about you, so that you can literally know and trust this voice that you're listening to, right? And really believe in this vision that can happen. And if you fix that this thing's supposed to happen like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it started happening like 1, 3, 5, 2, 9, you're gonna be rattled.
Yeah, I got a great quick story.
Okay.
Into exactly what you said. So for this portion of my career, I worked on third shift. Love working on third shift. And I realized it was because I slept when I was tired. I would work at night, might have taken naps at night. That's neither here nor there. But when I would get off, I would sleep only for a couple of hours. Then I would get up and then I would take like a pre-work nap. But I always felt so much better than when I finally moved back to shift. I hated it because I was like, this just doesn't feel right. But you do it. The thing is, recently I learned that natural sleep cycle is only in short blocks. You can be fully rested and whatnot off of 4 hours of sleep, and you wake up energized because it was tied back to like how our ancestors did it. They woke up real early, they did something, then they took a nap, and then they got back up, did some stuff, and then took a nap. Like we going back to like prehistoric times or whatever, early establishment phase. It was exactly what you said. That works for me. That whole sleeping all night thing, it drives me crazy because it's not efficient to me. But again, being open-minded and realizing I don't have to sleep like this just because the world tells me, and don't get me started on why they did that, to try to control you and make you tired.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that and having that energy and just being able to look back and see the difference between how I felt working third shift versus how I felt working first shift, night and day. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. And that's the key back to that non-negotiables, where you're identifying what works for you based on all the information that you have.
Based on the information you have at the time.
At the time.
Right.
And go find more information.
Yes. And so you can get more information that may change what you thought and believed you should do, right?
Or
because what I heard you say is at first you thought 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, and you probably felt bad because you're like, man, I ain't getting my 8 or 7 hours.
Yeah, like what am I doing wrong? Why am I always tired?
Right.
I slept 7 hours.
Yeah. And then you got this new information, right? That's like, oh, you know what? You actually don't have to sleep. You need probably 8 hours of sleep a day, but you can take that in two separate containers. You can do that from this time and then get up and do what you need to do and then take another break. And you have your 8 hours, but you don't have them in congruency with each other.
Yep.
You know, I think the most powerful thing that one of my mentors ever told me was write the vision, right? Figure out everything that you want, right? And then take away the way you think it should look or how you should get it, right? So say how you want to get it, right? So I want to, you know, build a business that make a difference in the people life that I serve. And I want to do that by, you know, in the beginning, like I wanted to open a private practice. And then, you know, I wanted to, you know, see, you know, 1 million people. Like I wanted to have 1 million followers. And it was huge, right? And then he's like, now you got the vision. You got how you going to get there. Now take that away. Take away the way you think you're going to get there, right? I have a great thing that happened. So I bought this building and I bought it in 2 separate payments. So I paid my down payment on it, right? And then I owed the second payment on it, but I was going to get a loan for the second payment. And I'm like, so the loan, it was due like just say in March or something like that. Like, but the individual's like, nope, you know, we're going to move. So we need the money by the end of this month. So it was like, just say it was in October, they would need it at the end of November. And so I'm, you know, like, okay, what do I need to do? Like, okay, well, I need to get $12,500 by the end of, you know, November. True story. Oh, you know what? Either I can see 12 people for, you know, $1,000 a piece, right? I could see 4 people for $3,000 a piece, right? Or I can run a program where I do 24 people at $550, something like that, like $600 a piece. And I can launch this program, which would be a month program and all of that, right? And me and my personal assistant, we went through like how I'm going to get this $12,500 that I need to put down on this to pay off my bill. And I'm stressing like, oh, okay, so we got to do this program launch. We got to do this. We got to do that, right? I ended up putting a vision in. I wrote it down on a card. Anybody who came to my office saw this card too. I put it on my card on my office door. So when you walked in, it was like, you know, I'm seeing 12. So everywhere I looked, I saw it. So I wrote the vision, right? Understood that my brain was my enemy. I was trying to unlock a potential in me. You know, I was going to tie it back to a story. And I realized that, oh, my friend, my brain is my enemy. So it's not going to believe I can do this. So let me prime my brain. So before we even was going to launch the workshop, I put these little sticky notes everywhere. You know, this is what we do. And then I let the vision go, right? Because I understand that this is going to happen in the gestational period. And what was my non-negotiables? Like, I wasn't going to ask for 12,000. I wasn't going to ask for 10,000. I wasn't going to accept nothing less than this $12,500 I needed.
Yeah.
When I tell you, just say that I needed that by November 20th, I ended up getting the $12,500 by just say November 15th. I need to buy November 20th. Just I got it by November 15th, and I didn't see one client. Not one client.
Sheila.
Right? And it was because I had took away the way I thought it should look, right? In some way. It was the stuff that was happening, like, oh, this thing came through and this thing came through and an old contract. Like it was just stuff happening. And literally I got the $12,500, didn't see one client because I used this thing. I was open-minded enough to allow God to work on my behalf. I had wrote my vision. I believed in it, and I was open-minded that he was going to make this thing happen. And it happened. And it happened different than what I thought it was, but the end goal ended up happening, And I remember my personal assistant, and I had a friend at the time was like, what? Like, yes, it works, And so a part of the reason why I worked, though, was because of consistency. So when we go to unlock our potential, now remember, we're talking about potential, meaning it's stuff you haven't used before, right? It's the energy of you that you haven't tapped into. And we're trying to unlock that so we can feel more in alignment, more purposeful, more motivated and inspired in our life. That's why we unlocking this potential, right? So that we can make the money that we want, if that's your goal, if that's your North Star. We can have a relationship that we want, if that's your North Star. We can, have the self-love and self-esteem that we want, if that's your North Star. So our voice can be elevated, if that's whatever your potential, whatever that is for you. You're going to this space to unlock it because it doesn't exist today. Does that make sense? Yes. Right? Yes. So it doesn't exist today. So I need to go unlock that from someplace. And these are the steps that I need to take to go access that. And this C is being consistent.
And it's literally like walking the steps of the path. You have to consistently walk every day to get to that thing, or else you will not get there.
Yes,
that is. Yes. I love that. That just formed in my mind. And consistency is like a bridge to where you need to go.
Yes,
and it's the only way you get there is if you walk it.
Yes, and that's what I was also say. It's just like you said. It has to be consistent energy, emotions, attitude, and actions that you're taking to cipher that energy. You know what a cipher is? You can. This is going really, but like you could cipher gas out of a car, right? If you suck and then it just starts to. Yeah. How do I know that? Because I grew up in
neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. I come from a certain land where people do that.
So to cipher this energy from this locked place, we have to have consistent movement.
Yeah.
And
there's flow, there's
in the same direction.
Yes, it can only go in one direction, or else you're not getting it.
Right, in the right direction. Actually. Right, because this helps to build the momentum that you're going to need. And listen, when you build momentum, right, towards a direction, it's like, how you can drive a car and you pick it up to 70 or 80, you can take your foot off the gas because now the car is it has enough momentum to go itself. Or maybe you should ride your bike, right? Yep. And you pedal, and then you can just
feet off the pedal.
Take your feet off the pedal. It's gonna go, right? Because it's enough momentum. Now, if you on a downward path or you in flow,
you on a hill,
like the changing part is being consistent to get you to the top of the hill, right? And then when you go into flow, like that momentum behind you is like, oh, you didn't caught the wind.
Put the legs up.
Yeah. And we build that so we can, develop, and then we got to develop new habits and beliefs. So we have to be consistent to build build momentum, so it can help us to build new habits and new beliefs, right? Because we know once we build our habits, then our habits make us.
Yes.
And a lot of
Good or
times,
bad.
yeah, and a lot of times right now, your habits got you to where you at. So you probably not even, that's why you need to untap this space over here that
Yeah.
your potential is in, because you're not in alignment. So you have to build habits and beliefs that's going to put you in alignment with those things, that to cipher those and be consistent in that. So like for me, I do affirmations every day. I meditate every day, because again, meditation is a way to update my brain so that I can
Receive the
download
information. Yes.
the new beliefs. Now, I want to challenge our audience, because people say affirmations and things like that. Like, I actually sleep with affirmations, or sometimes, like when I'm cleaning up, I play affirmations. And I tell people this is why, though, because the brain doesn't forget the old messages, right?
Yes.
It doesn't forget the old stories that Sheila has heard about herself, right? So, like, oh, you think you too smart, you think you know everything, all that, right? You
Mm-hmm.
talk too much, right? It doesn't forget. It does. It's not. It's not going to forget that unless I get some type of brain disease or something like that.
Yes.
So what my goal is, and what I need to be consistent with, is putting in new messages to balance that, and then maybe even
Yes.
outgrow it, right? So I'm listening to affirmations all the time, right? To build an inventory of thoughts that align with the person I want to become, that is in sync with the person I want to become, because my old thoughts and belief are not. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Trust me, I went through the affirmation phase. You know what a powerful thing for me was? So I was actually building like a playlist that I wanted for vision board gatherings and whatnot
Mm-hmm.
on this whole genre of like affirmations where they're like rapping, but they're doing affirmations. But at the same time, I also realized a lot of music is laced with affirmations, and that's why they make you feel so good when you're singing it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Beyonce. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but when somebody write, they write. And which I am a fan. I'm just
Beyonce.
not one of those.
Danielle,
I'm
don't
not
you
one of
come
those.
after Beyonce now.
No, I'm not. Look, I went to the tour. I got proof. I'm just not one of the diehard I got you Beyonce fans. Like I'm just I like to chill. But when I'm still in one of those moments, like literally, like if you stop and listen to half her songs, a lot of the recent stuff, they're like affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And they really are. And when you stop and put yourself outside of it and start to think about it differently,
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it's deep. I did one with a Whitney Houston song. I can't remember it. I put it on my Facebook page and I said, singing this song to yourself and see how you feel.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was I might have
And
to
it's
find it.
funny how you said it, because I do that with love songs. Like, you know how love songs is like to this person, but like, no, I'm actually singing that to me. Like, girl, I love you so much. You just the
If
girl of
you
my life. You
if you
so
change the mindset, yes.
yes, yes.
Sing
And
it
I'm
to
saying that,
yourself.
yeah, and I'm saying that because you have to be consistent in restoring the place or the space that you lost, that actually created the disconnect, the reason why you don't have access to this energy and emotion, right?
Yes.
And it was some type of traumatic experience, or some type of disconnect, or something happened where you separated from this space, so you didn't have access to this space, or maybe it just never was cultivated. Like, nobody ever told you
Yes.
that you were gifted in that, or nobody ever told you that that was a
For
space.
for me, it was the people I wanted to hear it from
Mm-hmm.
didn't say it in a language that
That's
I
good.
interpreted it.
That's good.
Because like the moment you said that, that was me. Because it wasn't, oh, I didn't know. No, everybody was saying it, but my
Not the
walls
people.
and whatnot. Whatever, you just saying that.
Yeah.
But the people I wanted to
Me
hear it
too.
from,
Yes.
I
That's
never
good.
heard it.
And you know what? And I think that's what it was for me too. The people that I wanted to hear it from was saying something different, or wasn't acknowledging it. And then I realized that I had to be consistent to be able to build the momentum and tell myself what I needed to hear in a consistent way. And then also build the habits that is in alignment with the direction that I'm trying to go. And then, of course, you know, K
Knowledge
is
is everything.
knowledge is everything. So again, to unlock your potential, there is a level of knowledge that you're going to have to start to, crave. You know what I mean? Really seek out, like reading books, learning about your trade more. Like, you don't know how often I hear people like, I've been doing that forever. I don't need to listen to, nothing
Yes, you
else
do.
about that. And it's just like,
Everything changes. The only
yeah,
thing
like,
constant is change. You have
yeah,
to keep.
yeah. So it's like, no, that's not true. Like, you really should, in all ways, seek knowledge, right? Because the application of knowledge is what we call wisdom. Of how you apply what you know is what is going to really determine how wise you are. You
Yes.
know, it is just so interesting. Um, this idea of what knowledge is. Um, some of us choose to go back to school to get it. Some of us choose to pick up a trade to get it. But I'm gonna use this one. The Bible say, "Know thyself," right? And so the most important knowledge that you need to develop is knowledge of who you are. You know,
Yes.
so personality assessments, getting a coach, really exploring like other avenues that you possibly wanted to do, looking at your skill sets in a very different way and how you're going to apply that, right? And how you're going to develop the mindset to do it. Even shifting your mindset, it's just so important that we learn more about us.
Look, a big thing that I did recently. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Have you ever heard of Coursera? Google has Coursera, so they offer free courses. Period. You don't have to pay for anything unless you want a certificate to say and get credit and whatnot. But you can take
Mm-hmm.
whatever for free for how many other things. And I did one on how you learn. And you don't understand how upset I was. Why did we not take this the first week of college? Because you need to know how you learn, how your brain learns. Because that was like so crazy for me, where it's like when you're in this space, your brain is working, but your brain actually works literally 24/7, putting things together and connecting all the data that you feed into it. It's just, certain times you can pull it out, certain times you just need to process it. But like to learn how I learned, it was a very frustrating moment, but it was very empowering too, as far as helping people, because it goes back to exactly what you said. One of my things was understanding how my brain works, how I best work. When do I best work, in creativity mode, in focus mode? What do I need to be around me? How do I learn? Like me, I'm a reader. I can't stand watching YouTube videos when they be talking and all that other stuff. I just need to be able to cut to the information. That's me. But like, it's so much self identification because you
Specifically for you.
can get tips from everybody else, but you are yourself. You're
Yes.
not going to learn like them. You're not going to absorb like them. So you need to understand in what situations do you learn.
Yeah.
Get the knowledge that you need to keep going on this bridge of consistency to get to that new life.
Right. And I know that this was to me, it was a more serious conversation. One, because I really wanted to go through this acronym, um, or how to unlock our potential, because there's so many people that feel stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's so many people that's trying to figure out what their next move is, what their best move is. Like, what could I have done differently? How could I, be better here? How can I? And then you don't know how many of my clients is like, I just don't have the motivation. Can you help me with motivation? Can you help me get inspired? Can you help me? I'm just so tired. I just don't know, with this pandemic and all of this stuff that had happened, like, in my relationship or in my job, or, I'm working at home now, and I just don't even want to get out the bed sometimes. Like, my bed is calling me all the time. Like, it's so much of that going around. And I really wanted to have this conversation about unlocking your potential, because the energy that you're seeking is not here. It's over there. It's
Yeah.
stuck
You
somewhere.
you got to climb up that hill to go get it. Roll down the hill and get all that energy, but you got to
Yes.
climb first, and that's the hard part. Most people don't want to
Yeah.
do. They don't want to climbing up that hill. It's a steep hill. You get
Yeah.
tired,
Yeah.
and
And
you rather just lay on the side of that hill than get to the top and roll down with all that energy.
here's an important factor in this. And most people, I don't say like not willing to unlock their potential, but a lot of people don't want to unlock their potential because they know it's going to be a journey, right?
Yeah,
They
they're scared.
know, yeah, that it's going to change the trajectory of their experience, and they're scared. And that's again why I say you got to have your non-negotiables and create boundaries, because people are going to have some type of something to say about you choosing you in your life, right? And
That's why the
sometimes
people you have around you are important too. Well, that's a whole
yes,
nother show.
yeah, yeah. And it's really not about, again, I've been in, I'm gonna say 90% of my relationships are the same, right? But I have been able to transmute those relationships, from my kid's father, who is in a 13-year relationship. When I learned how to unlock my potential, it transmuted our relationship and how we deal with each other and how we communicate. He didn't change, but by me going to unlock this space of potential in me, now I'm full. So it just certain things I wasn't looking for him to do anymore. It was certain things I wasn't even expecting him to do anymore, which allowed me to accept him for who he was and who he is, which is an
Yeah,
amazing father, amazing man, amazing person. And it helped me to be okay with separating from that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Deep.
My mother, my father caused a lot of hurt, but because I was able to go in and unlock this potential, I could forgive them and let it
Yeah,
go and say, you know what, I got the best mother and father today that a person could ever ask for, right? But it was because I went and got my energy, right? And I knew I needed to get that. It was a like it was just oh girl, you down on the inside, something is happening, like what are you gonna do? And it ain't about going to school again, it ain't about getting another degree, and it ain't about opening up another business, because by that time I hadn't opened up 3 businesses. And it ain't about that. It's something missing.
yeah.
you know it is something missing
Because
in your life,
that's what's on the other side of that bridge.
and that's what's
Is
on the other side of
it's
that
a
bridge.
little box of energy.
Yes.
And when you're consistent and you move towards it, when you get to the other side of that bridge, it unlocks whole different energy. Because I've had that exact same conversation with people, Sheila, where it's like, well, I just don't want to. It's because you're not going towards the right. You're not on the right bridge. You're over here on somebody else's bridge. The energy ain't on the end of that bridge because you're on somebody else's bridge. You have to find your bridge. What do you want? What do you want to do? What is your passion? Why are you passionate? And it's amazing when you find that. It's like a strike of lightning. You don't need caffeine. You don't need none of that. You're gonna go.
I still got my caffeine.
Oh,
I'm just addicted to it. Listen though,
never a cat,
I want to say
never
this.
a coffee person.
Here in France, you can't open a small business up here.
Okay.
Oh, so let me say this. In this whole unlock thing, it's not heavy neither, right? So this purpose that we're talking about is truly, it's not like this heavy, I need a deeper meaning in life. It's truly, I just feel misaligned in my life. I just feel stuck in my life. I feel I'm called for something in my life. And this is the steps that you take. So remember, we're going to understand that one, our brain is our frenemy. It don't like change, right? And because it's our frenemy and it don't like change, we got to prime our brain for success. So as you start thinking about this new life that you want and is feeling stuck, do a vision board, get you a coach, start talking to individuals about what life would be like. I got a past, present, and future exercise that you could do. If you want me to send you that, DM me and I'll send you that over, right? Really just start exploring, well, what would your life look like? What would make you happy, right? And start priming your brain with those ideas. And we also know that Danielle, I'm just gonna say it, she's gonna do something to help you guys with the vision. So in the next couple of weeks or a month or so. So, start thinking about what imagine and start dreaming about what it is that you want. And then know that you got to prime your brain with the vision. And then know that even when you do that, there's still going to be a gestational period. So understand it's still going to take time to make the shifts in your life. I mean, I started my shift maybe like 4 years ago and I'm still in it. I haven't settled, right? But I know that so many shifts have happened and so many things has happened in my life when I started to unlock my potential. And it's still shifting and it's still moving and it's still going and developing. Know your non-negotiables, which is again, just create the boundaries around your new seed that you're planning for your life, right? Why is this important? And what are you not willing to negotiate about this thing? Like, listen, you can't mess with this area over here. No, can you come over here, call me at this time and do this thing? Listen to the voice from within, right? Being able to listen to this higher power voice or your own voice. But remember, one of my non-negotiables was my voice above your voice, right? My feelings above your feelings, right? Which really gives you a place of trust. So when you start to hear God speak to you, you'll be more in tune to His word. And then open-minded, moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, right? So to stay with stay open-minded, we have to learn how to turn your obstacles into opportunities, right? And that is the benefit of being in a growth mindset. Like you're really looking at your obstacles, right, as opportunities that you can overcome. Right, being consistent, that's the C. You're going to be consistent, and consistency help you build momentum. And we want to build momentum, and the way we do that is by building different beliefs and different habits to create the momentum in the direction that we want to go in our life. And then knowledge, K, just having
Yeah.
knowledge,
Get it.
knowing thyself, right? Like I said, the Bible say know thyself, and the big person you want to be knowledgeable about is yourself. So personality assessments, again, getting a coach, calling either DMing me or Danielle for an assessment or mindset meeting or something like that, just to kind of get a sounding board of your voice and things like that. So I think that says that if you want to be a guest on our show, you can email us at the Small Business Podcast. Again, we're here on Mondays, 7:30 p.m., 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30. Is that CST? CST.
So, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Anything else you want to share?
I just had something. What was that last thing you just said? My brain goes a million different ways.
Personality.
I know it was talking about knowledge, and we have these amazing tools that we literally carry around with us every day, every minute of the day. And I'm just amazed by, people still ask, and it's like from what I just mentioned about Coursera to documentaries. I'm sure everybody's got a streaming service. Documentaries, like, take a step away from like indulge in like something that talks about real life, whether it's nature, but there's so many ways to get knowledge. Googling articles, like you said, listening to podcasts, listening to people talk about these subjects.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's no reason why. Because it's funny because you said it earlier, like how do you prove it? Like, you're getting degrees. It's funny because like I'm literally the opposite. I only went to college because it was paid for.
She was so
Probably would never go back. I don't care how smart I am. I don't, like I said, I'm done trying to validate how smart I am.
But I
Let's put
love
that
that
out.
though. I love that though. I love that, your first choice, which I think really speaks to, your smartness and your brilliance, right? Like you knew you were smart. You got got the free ride. But then it was like, on this journey, I don't have to continue to go outward, right? Like I can go inward. Let me find out more about Danielle. And so many of us don't have that option, but you had that anchor, of being smart, right? And knowing that you were smart and knowing that you didn't have to prove this. I had doing hair, right? Like I just could always fall back on doing hair. So it was like, but most of our audience probably don't. So what would you say about the audience that don't have something that they're confident? They want to unlock their potential,
That's
but
the
they
thing.
don't
They
have.
do. They do. And it's usually it's somebody that, to me, everything is a balance. Not everybody's a lawyer. Guess what? A lawyer needs the person making them coffee. The lawyer needs the auto mechanic. The lawyer needs the person that works at Walmart. There is a balance. And I think the problem is people glorify certain things. And if they don't fit into that bubble, then they beat themselves up. And that's what I don't like. Because
Mhm.
it's like, if you're the yard man, I'm in the South. Yard men are popular. Be the best yard man. What's wrong with that? Be the yard man to the stars if you want to get prestigious with it. But if you're the yard man and you're sitting there worried about being a lawyer, you're lying to yourself. And that's one of my things I always say is you're lying to yourself. And so I think a lot of it is the person knows what they want to do, but for some reason they either don't think it's prestigious enough or they don't think it's beautiful enough. You want to be a mom. Be a mom. Be the best mom. Pour into those kids. Make that generation the next. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just, unfortunately, so much noise comes from the outside that people can't hear themselves
Mhm.
talking to themselves.
Right.
So I
Right.
would say to the listeners, like you said, write out, meditate, and listen to what you want to do. Ask the universe, ask God, show me a sign, and then be receptive to the information when it comes to you. Because when it comes to you, it's gonna come to you. But it's a matter of, are
May
you
not
gonna be
come to you
open?
like a big roar, like Kimberly,
And so for me,
Susie.
tidbit of background. I didn't come from a religious background at all.
Mhm.
Dabbled in church here and there, wasn't a fan. And so I studied evolution, I studied science, things of that nature. But I still had one of those moments that you described. And it
Mhm.
was I had like a quiet moment and then I had a loud moment. And that's
Mhm.
why I grew to calling it was the universe, because for me it felt like then people were yelling at me. Like
Mhm.
I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't one. It was like
Mhm.
1,000 different people. Like when I was like, I need to do this. And it was like, yes, yes, do that, whatever you just said, do that. And it was
Mhm.
crazy. So,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. But if I wasn't willing to listen to myself, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have heard it.
Yeah. And I think we're talking about perspective too, right? For me, it was I thought the voice was this. If I would have stayed fixed on how that voice was supposed to come, I would have never heard it, right? Which is why it's so important to have an open mind. Two, being open-minded about, like what you said, it's not about what you're doing, right? It's not about what you're doing. If it's important to you and if it has value to you, then it's important and it has
It's
value,
important because
right?
it's important in this world. The world needs the barista as much as we need the surgeon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay.
Right. I just need to say that again. If it's important to you and it has value, it is important and it has
Yes,
value, right?
yes,
And we just gotta honor that space, like you said, no matter how big, no matter how small. And the most important thing to us really should just be you, right? Like
yes.
you are
End of the
enough,
day.
you are important, and along your journey of life, you've probably been separated from yourself. And the whole part of this conversation is to get you reintroduced back to you. So it don't even have to be for anything big. You could just go get
I,
your energy so you could
I,
smile in the
rem-
morning.
I remember what I wanted to say, and it's
Okay.
actually good timing. So my big thing is, for most people that's flown a plane, what does it say? You have to put your mask on first before you have to fix yourself before you can do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You have to unlock your own potential, because I feel like so many of us, we can solve everybody else's problems. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to looking at our own, we don't want to do it.
No.
We shy away from it. We're scared of it. So you got to put your face mask on first before you can save anybody else. You got to look within.
Right. And remember, this is shaping solutions. So we're helping you to shape the solutions for the problems in your life, which is your love, interactions, focus, and energy. And we want to unlock this potential over here so that you can learn how to have a better love of self, how to interact with others, because this is what you want to do, not based on how they treat you, but this is just who you are as a person. And you don't feel like it's costing you nothing to be kind, right? So you can know how to focus your energy on the things that you want to focus on, in energy and emotions, right? Really making sure that you're understand what energy is. And so many of us are drained, depressed, because we don't have access to the appropriate energy and emotions, and it's leaving us in a dis-ease in our life that's creating the dis-eases in our body. And before we get off, I just want to say, although I am a clinical therapist, I highly recommend you guys go see your own therapist. These are the opinions of, in my experience with the clients that I've saw. She's talking about her personal experience. I have not done an assessment on you or an evaluation, so I don't know your state of mind to even see if you even qualify for this unlock process, because it could be some work you need to do before that. But if you just feel stuck in your life and you then tried everything, the therapist, the coach, things that you feel like would get you, then, you look at this framework and get some help. And you can always inbox me at Sheila at I Am Shaping Solutions. I Am Shaping Solutions. Or you can, inbox my co-host at
Yes.
where?
DCDR Solutions or Danielle MacArthur on, Facebook. If you
Yeah.
can tell, we love talking. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
we
Make
gonna
sure you
talk
share
to
this
you.
podcast. Again, maybe it's not something, maybe you are the person that's unlocked, and maybe it's not for you, but it could be the very conversation to help somebody else transform their life, transform and align their life for the
Yes.
good. I thank you so much for being present with us for this hour and 17 minutes. Looking forward to speaking with you guys next week on goal setting.
Yes.
Yeah, that one's gonna be
Once you
good.
get to that bridge, you got to work on staying on that side of the bridge, or else there's a little string that's gonna pull you back.
Right, right, right. So you guys have a good night and a great week.
All right. Night, night.
Bye.